Key terms every home buyer should learn. And really, it's every homeowner, depending on when you have recently bought a home or not. But before we get into all that, like, comment, subscribe, share, please. And really helps grow the channel, helps support what we have going on here. And check out some other videos and everything else we have going on here just as a information resource to bring you more clarity around this complexity of real estate in this modern world and kind of how to navigate everything. But whether you're a first-time home buyer or you're new to home buying again recently, like if you haven't bought a house in the last 4 to 5 years, I would say you're pretty new still. Even if you bought a house before, you've owned a house before, this process has changed. And even if you haven't done this or you've done this before, you definitely want to revisit the basics, the foundation of what are the key terms of what a home buyer, homeowner needs to learn around the terms of this industry. And then also I'll go over here locally in Wichita how our process handle, how Rico handles everything with me as a partner, and just kind of go over, our personal professional process here at Team Home Hero. I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing the screen so you guys can see what I'm referring to. And we'll go from there. 1 second. Okay, so these are the key terms that every home buyer should learn. Affordability is a big key buzzword right now going on, and it's a measure of whether someone earns enough to qualify for a loan on a typical home based on the most recent price, income, and mortgage rate data. When home prices and mortgage rates are higher, it can impact affordability. So a lot of times people want to say interest rates are too high, prices are too high, but the hard truth is that you just don't make enough money. And if people made more money, then they could afford the house that they want to buy. So really, you got to look at what is your personal affordability based on your personal income, your personal finances situation, and not necessarily just saying prices are high, interest rates are high, because if your income's higher, then it doesn't matter. And that's what they're talking about from an affordability standpoint on everything. Whew, that went way too fast. I wasn't supposed to reveal that much. The appraisal, this is another one that can commonly get confused or misunderstood. A appraisal is a report highlighting the estimated value of the property completed by a qualified third party. Lenders rely on appraisals to validate a home's value and ensure they're not lending more than the home is worth. And see, even that statement's a little bit confusing because really what an appraisal report is and who it's for is for the bank to determine how much of a loan they're going to give you, or the lender or the end mortgage servicer, whoever that is. It's not always necessarily a traditional bank for the appraisal. And this is actually just ran into one of these with my clients where the appraisal came in $7,500 lower than the agreed price. We agreed to pay $182,500. The appraisal came in at $175,000. There's a difference of $7,500 there that a few different scenarios can happen with that. So the seller can either adjust their agreed price down to $175,000. All other terms remain the same, which is preferred for us since we're on the buy side, or we could be required to bring the remaining difference of $7,500 in cash in order to buy the house and pay what we agreed to pay for it on the purchase price. We can negotiate somewhere in the middle of that to figure something out because usually both parties want to work things out and figure something out. Since now the appraisal came in at $175,000, the lender is only willing to loan $175,000, not the $182,500. It's not necessarily meaning that the house isn't worth $182,500. It's just the lender is saying we're only willing to lend you what the appraisal value is, not necessarily a determinant of worth. Because at the end of the day, whatever buyer and seller agree to sell it for, and you can get an appraisal to back, and we have the cash terms to make it happen. Like that's what something is worth, which is not like most other industries where there's a Kelly Blue Book or a rule or a guide of what things cost. This is what a free enterprise true market looks like. And that's where that appraisal word gets confused a lot. And the use of it, the value of it, it's really just a professional third-party appraiser who goes in and evaluates it and says, here's what he thinks it's worth. And that's what the bank goes on. That's why you can get another appraiser to come in and potentially appraise that thing for more from a different source, different opinion, and they don't always quite vary. So there is still a human element in there. There's not like a hard and fast science across the board. So that's an appraisal. Closing costs is another one that can get confused. And when we say closing costs, we're not referring to realtor fees. We're not referring to down payment. What we're referring to is what is the lender, the mortgage broker you're working with, going to charge you in order to close that loan. So the fees required to complete the real estate transaction paid at closing. Ask your lender for a complete list of closing cost items, including points, taxes, title insurance, and more. And so there's two things that go into lenders making money, which is the origination fee and the interest rate they charge you. So the origination fee is in that closing cost. So that's where you see, if you go shop around different lenders, why certain lenders in certain companies you go to, your closing costs can be $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 from different lenders you go to, because they have different origination fees baked in there. They have different costs that are baked in there that they charge or they make you pay up front. And so that's where different lenders can charge different closing costs. But knowing what those closing costs are, where they go, ask your lender for a fee sheet. A bunch of them are going to hate me for making you aware and knowledgeable about this process, because a lot of them just want to loosely issue a pre-qual, when in all reality, it's like, I don't just need a pre-qual. I really need your entire fee sheet so I understand what rate you're charging me, what points you're charging me. Like, give me a full breakdown of it all so that I fully understand what I'm being charged, what I'm being assessed. And that's what we really help you to navigate in this situation, is making the best strategic choices from our experience of helping a lot of people buy and sell houses on all this. Is you really don't want to wing it willy-nilly and kind of take a loose approach to all this. So closing costs, that's what those go down to. Credit score, number ranging from 300 to 850. That's based on an analysis of your credit history. This helps lenders determine the likelihood you'll repay future debts. Basically, this comes down to how well you pay your bills. And if you got low credit, a lot of what happens is you got to pay your bills. You know, if you need to go through a credit repair company, I just recently went through one to raise my score from like 580 to, I think we're at 710 now, just based on different strategic reasons. And it is possible. It does take money. It takes work. But really, that credit score is a determination of just, do you pay your bills? Do you pay your debts? You know, do you have good credit on everything? Like, are you credit worthy? Are you trustworthy? Is really what it is what that credit score system is about. Down payments can range anywhere from 3.5% to 20%, not the common 20% down always that everybody thinks you have to do. And down payments are typically 3.5% to 20% of the purchase price of the home. Some 0% down programs are available. Ask your lender for more information about what you may qualify. Again, this is a personal thing that you have to go through with. Even if you can put 0% down or 3.5% down, it may not be the best choice for your personal strategy. In my opinion, it's put as little amount down or put the 20% down in the house and let the house appreciate. Use your cash elsewhere in other investing strategies, but I'm not your financial advisor, not your tax accountant, not your legal advisor. I'm your real estate advisor. And a lot of those things tie into it, but I really am a real estate expert, not an expert in those other areas. I'm aware and knowledgeable, but I'm not going to act like I'm an expert in those. Equity, the value of your home above the total amount of liens against your home. Many homeowners are realizing they have more equity than they thought, and they're using it to move. That's the silver lining to all these high interest rates, high prices, and everything else going on. Is 30% of homeowners own their house free and clear. Another 36% have more than 50% equity, meaning like they have a $150,000 house with a $75,000 mortgage on it. So that means they have $75,000 in equity, and they're able to take that equity and either sell their house, actualize it, go buy another bigger one for about the same payment, or make moves or pay things off. Like, they have equity they can tap into, is the silver lining now with all these prices rising. So as much as everything is rising in cost, so is your equity, so are people's incomes, and you kind of got to look at all that from a total economic standpoint. But that's equity and how equity works in your house. Inspection contingency, this is a big one that we deal with pretty regularly with my construction background. The inspection contingency is a provision in a contract requiring inspection to be completed. This essential step gives you information on the home's condition and potential repairs. And so typically how this works, like in Kansas, is we'll have a 10 business day inspection period. Once we have an executed contract, we turn that into all the appropriate parties, like the title company, the lending company, the other agents, back to all the clients, make sure everybody has that fully executed contract with all the terms of what we're going to do. From there, then earnest money gets turned in, which is usually about 1% of purchase price. And then this 10 business day inspection period starts. And that's where we go through and we actually test everything. And not me, I should say, the third party inspector goes through and tests it because he's a neutral, arbitrary third party, like has no vested interest and it's supposed to be fair about going in and testing everything as far as like testing the electrical, the plumbing, the HVAC, walking on the roof looking for hail, crawling in the crawl space looking for foundational problems. And there's that inspection piece. So if there's some things you're concerned about, worried about, that's where those things get inspected. But a lot of times I'm walking through with the contractor eye, looking at these houses ahead of time, evaluating like where can we already see big red flags or not, and pre-negotiate those in. Kind of like one recently that one of my buyers, they saw online, it was advertised as a new hot water heater. When we got there, that hot water heater is definitely not new. And so we knew that ahead of time, and we pre-negotiated that in ahead of time. We pre-addressed it so that we didn't get it all wrapped up under contract, into earnest money, then get an inspection, and then try to negotiate that stuff in. We try to pre-negotiate as many things in as we can up front that we already are aware of and know about, instead of like trying to bring it up in the middle of the inspection period on everything. For the buyer's sake, the seller's sake, the agent's sake, everyone's like, about it ahead of time, like negotiate it ahead of time, instead of trying to get in the middle of the transaction and then you got everybody started and wound up, and then it's a way more stressful, emotional situation. Handle up front. But I get it. Not everybody knows construction or houses like I do, and my partner Rico does. And so they kind of just walk through looking at a pretty house, not knowing what's good, what's valid or not. So anyway, mortgage, a loan using your home as collateral. It also may be used to indicate the amount of money you borrow with interest to purchase your house. The amount of mortgage often is a purchase price of the home minus your down payment. So this goes kind of into your down payment piece of how much you're putting down, and then how much your mortgage is going to be, in the difference and everything. Mortgage rate, the interest rate you pay to borrow money when buying a home. As mortgage rates fluctuate, consult the lender so you know how it can impact your monthly mortgage payment. Before I got into real estate and finances and all this that went with it, I didn't realize the significant impact 0.5%, 1% can have on your long-term life value of a loan, or your monthly payment, or your purchasing power. But now, as you can see, where interest rates got to like 8% in October, and they're about 6% now, and they're starting to get to 5%. Or they're slated to go to about 5% in the middle of the year, 2024, makes a big difference what people are allowed and able to do, and also what houses can be bought and sold for. And so that set mortgage rate has a huge impact on where our market goes, where our economy goes, everything else that goes with that. Pre-approval letter. This is better than a pre-qualification letter, and it is a letter from a lender that shows that they're willing to lend you for your home loan. This, plus an understanding of your savings, can help you decide on your target price range. So there's a key difference here. There's a pre-qualification letter, which just goes off of you filling out a form online, and as long as all that is true to the fullest extent, they will issue a pre-qualification letter for a certain amount. What they haven't done, though, is they haven't checked pay stubs, they haven't ran your records, looked for any judgments, haven't ran necessarily, well, they've ran your credit score, but they haven't really deep dive into your situation. So if you were not entirely truthful, or there's something that wasn't fully on there, and you kind of spoofed your pre-qualification process, you're going to have problems down the road. If maybe you don't make as much money as you said you did, or you have debts, taxes, liens, encumbrances, judgments, something on your record that's going to show up in these situations. So it's not like you can hide from it. There's no judgment from us. There's no hard feelings. In a lot of ways, that's kind of why we prefer to work with a lot of what I'd call strangers, because there's that client private confidentiality. Like, I don't know you, you don't know me. I'm not going to go tell everybody all your personal drama and gossip and all that. Even if you did know me personally, I wouldn't do that too. But I just know that there is no possibility of that even happen when I deal with what they call the cold market, as opposed to, I know some friends and family may not want to disclose some of those things to me if it's their personal financial information, just because they either don't want me to know it, don't want the potential of me to tell it to someone else. Some of that gossip and drama that goes on with certain types of realtors, not this one. But your pre-approval letter is determined on evaluating you as a borrower, you as a buyer, not necessarily the house. Does your financial situation check out? Do you make as much money as you can? And then based on that, here's what the lender is willing to lend to you. Let's say they issue a pre-approval letter for $400,000. That's based on your credit score and debt to income ratio. So where your credit score is at, and then also your debt to income ratio from a monthly standpoint. So if, let's say, you make $6,000 a month, usually they'll lend you 45 to 55% of your total debt to income ratio. So that includes your car payments, student loan payments, medical bills, anything that's on your record from a record of debt. and then also add into this the mortgage that you're applying for. All of that cannot exceed typically 45 to 55%. And typically what we see is a pretty good number to shoot for is about 25 to 33% of your debt to income ratio is appropriate to go towards your mortgage, depending on how much income you make on a monthly basis. Because most people are payment buyers, monthly cash flow analysis type of people. And that's where we really want to be side by side with you to help understand where you want to position yourself for this real estate purchase you're buying, so that we're setting you up for the future long term, not just slamming you into a house. Like, we're really not sales people. Like, a lot of people try to categorize us, even though we're in a sales agent role. It's a lot of just service that leads to a sale. It's more of a marketing and service industry than it is like I'm some slick talking salesperson. Just if I guide you and help you all the way along through this process and you make decisions, like, sales naturally happen. But it's not really like a hard and fast, pushy sales process, to give you an idea. Hopefully this video kind of helps explain that, educate you, teach you, guide you through the process of everything. And very quickly, since I'm running out of time on this video, so that's all the key terms homeowners should learn, whether they're first-time home buyer or they haven't bought in a while. Like, honestly, I think people that have bought houses before but haven't bought recently can be some of the most fooled into thinking they know how this works, because a lot of things have changed, even in just the last 3 to 4 years on everything. So you have kind of like the basics have changed, but then there's some advanced elite stuff too that you need to know for this to go as good as possible. That as much as the internet has helped us learn more, it's also made us think we know more. But when you work with like an elite real estate expert that deals with things day in and day out, it's kind of like you got to know the basics of how it works, but then here's all the stuff that's winning in the current market. So this is me and my partner, Rico. So Rico is kind of like my second-hand man, just helps me cover more ground just because I can't be everywhere in all places at once. And we work as a production unit. Production squad is what it's called. Team Home Hero with my brand out here in Wichita, Kansas. Buying a home isn't a swift online browse followed by a hasty purchase like some people might think it is. It's a thoughtful journey that demands careful consideration. Starts with understanding your needs, exploring neighborhoods, and aligning your budget. Visiting homes, negotiating, and navigating paperwork are all crucial steps. Rushing this process can lead to regret or overlooking vital details. And a steady, deliberate approach ensures finding a home that's not just a place, but your perfect fit for you and your lifestyle and situation. So that's really, a lot of this is more of a custom care service than it is like a, let's just go look at houses and run around with our pants on fire and see what happens. Even though it's kind of the approach some agents and some clients take, that's not really our strategic approach to really get you set up for success the most in the future. So this goes over the process of setting up financing, consultant tour homes, make offers. Then we have the inspection period, appraisal and underwriting, and closing day. It's about 30 to 45 days from offer to close, just to give you an idea of what to plan for. So if you are at all looking to buy in the Wichita area or sell, let's set up our strategic plans. You can go on my website, wichitahomehero.com, book a time to call, or if you sign up on my website, you'll be in our marketing system that can help us send you houses, reach out to you, communicate with you. Just depends on where you're at in the timeline of the process of, if you're just kind of researching things, figuring things out, this is a great informational video. Once you start getting into looking at houses, that kind of thing, we can get together and have a Zoom call, a game plan, either in person or over video, and just kind of be in alignment for you to help guide you through this process in a strategic, planned out, like as least stressful way possible, so that we are setting you up solidly for success. But that at least gives you an idea of the key terms every homeowner should learn and know, whether you're brand new or you haven't done it in a while. Then also just kind of how our process works here in Wichita. Appreciate you watching. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, share. If you've got any questions at all, I'm a resource. I'm happy to help. Get all kinds of calls and reach outs from these type of videos. And appreciate watching, and hopefully talk with you soon. See ya.